Regardless how this movie ends up being received by people, I think we can all agree that Mark Wahlberg has definitely looked hotter in the past. Flight Risk is a new movie directed by legendary actor and director Mel Gibson. You know, Mad Max, the OG Mad Max. This is his first time directing a feature film since the excellent Hacksaw Ridge. Does his return to the director's chair mean that we are in for another treat? Let's discuss. Flight Risk stars Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Dockery, and Topher Grace, and it's about a woman who is tasked with overseeing the transfer of a cooperating witness. However, it's not too long into the flight that we realize that Mark Wahlberg has a bad haircut, but also that he is not who he says he is. You see, Eric Foreman, Topher Grace, he knows things, and the people that he's going to testify against, they don't want him talking, so they send Mark Wahlberg after him in hopes that he will shut his dirty mouth. It's a pretty basic movie and it's not very long. It's only an hour and 35 minutes, which should be great news for people who can't hold it very long, but it is bad news for plot development. Don't get me wrong, this movie was quite entertaining. I loved seeing Mark Wahlberg have so much fun with this character, and he does really well in this movie. He's pretentious, he's menacing, and most importantly, he's hilarious. I will say I don't think Mark Wahlberg was wasted with this role. In fact, this whole cast mostly does well. I thought Michelle Dockery gave a rock-solid performance. She gets to go toe-to-toe with Mark Wahlberg, a highly prolific actor, and she does not back down. Her character is very much a human character. She's prone to misjudgments, she's made mistakes in her past. As a matter of fact, she is just freshly coming off of being benched when this movie first takes place. Her character has some past history that I'm not going to get into, but the more you find out about her and who she is and the things that she's experienced, the more humanized and connected you feel to her, because we can all connect to that feeling of making mistakes and trying to redeem yourself from those mistakes. She's a woman trying to prove her worth in, frankly, a world that I think doesn't really think too highly of women. I think she nails it. She does a great job in this movie. Topher, well, you know, I get that he's known for his comedy, but somehow his attempts at being funny in this movie, to me, just fell kind of flat. I thought, okay, this is just obligations to Topher Grace's comedy roots, but not really serving the story. But it's the moments where he sheds that need to be clever and funny, where he does actually a solid job. And by the end of this movie, him and Michelle Dockery's character have clearly evolved. Mark Wahlberg's character in this movie is a foe, and foes really force us to rise to our best potential in order to overcome them. For the most part, I think Mel Gibson managed to deliver an entertaining film, but it's pretty bare bones. It all takes place inside of a plane, and anytime you have characters that are completely confined to one location for the most part, it can lead to some issues with the plot and just engagement. But there have definitely been some really solid movies in the past that have taken place in very few locations. Think Phone Booth, Reservoir Dogs, Buried with Ryan Reynolds. That is an overlooked gem, by the way. If you haven't seen it, it's a recommendation. To me, those are mostly better films. This is a decent film. It's a popcorn film. It's a movie that you go to burn some time. You're not gonna have your life changed. You're probably not gonna be thinking about it for too much after you walk out of the movie theater. It's just not really a life-changing event. At least that's how I felt about it. So as much as I think that this is a movie that is worth checking out, I don't think you need to see this movie in cinemas. It just really doesn't have enough meat going on to justify forking out the money, going and sitting next to a bunch of noisy strangers who don't respect the theater etiquette. It's just, I think you could stay home and watch this movie when it comes out to streaming. For me, this movie is a 6 out of 10. That's not a failure by any means, but it's also not a very good score. If your kid came home and he showed you that he had a 6, or he or she, should I say, showed you that they had a 6 on their test, well, I think you'd be kind of unimpressed. And that's just how I felt with this movie. I thought it was alright, entertaining, but not worth remembering probably in a few days. Did you guys see this movie yet? Do you plan on seeing it? If you guys did, please put your thoughts on it in the comments and let me know. As always, let's have that conversation. If you liked this video, please hit the little like button. And if you want to hear more things from me, you know the drill. Subscribe. Later.